Welcome back to the channel, my friend. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the Nachmund Gauntlet Crusade campaign. This video is sponsored by Adept Roll and the Game Bunker. More on those later. Nachmund Gauntlet Crusade campaign continue in Warhammer 40,000 as Harkon Warclaimer returns. While Imperial forces led by Belisarius Kull struggle against incursions from Necron dynasties and the malign influences of the Pariah Nexus, things are going from bad to worse in the Nachmund Gauntlet. This is the one safe route through the Great Rift, a crucial bridgehead in the ongoing struggle against the forces of chaos. The fragile reprieve granted by Marneus Calgar's desperate victory in Vigilus is over, and a formidable armada now bears down on the barrier worlds on the Imperial Sanctus in Warhammer 40,000 Crusade Nachmund Gauntlet, the epic narrative expansion for Warhammer 40,000. Alright, so we have the brand new Crusade Nachmund Gauntlet book coming out. And if you're not familiar with Crusade, it is essentially a book with a bunch of different lore in it, some special rules. But the idea is that it sets up like a narrative campaign that you can play through with additional like abilities, special rules, and then lore, kind of tying you into the actual battles that have taken place in the Nachmund Gauntlet in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. One of the really cool things about a campaign or using the various Crusade rules is that it allows you to tie all of your different games together, and the results of those games are tied into like the games that follow. So oftentimes you have like a course of actions, and then based on whether or not you win or lose the game, you'll end up doing like a different battle with a different little theme to it, and each game influences how like the storyline kind of plays out. You also have a lot of cool like enhancements and upgrades that your characters and different squads earn as they go through like the different Crusade as you progress through the campaign, essentially recognizing that squads that have done well in the past games will then have further abilities or special things that they can do in the future games. So pretty cool for the people that are into like the thematic aspect of it, that want to play along in the 41st millennia as the story of Warhammer 40,000 progresses. And then there's often like a ton of cool lore and stories, a lot of exclusive content that's featured in the book as well. Obviously we can see on the cover there's some nice artwork. So very cool for people that are looking for like a little bit different of a twist, not necessarily into like the competitive aspect as much as they are into like the thematic aspect of the game. Harkon Worldclaimer has returned, and he is pledged to drive his spear into the Imperium's defenses at the Terminus and Nachmund Gauntlet. This new book details his assault on the fortified planet of Terra. Before him stands the Sanctus Wall, a reinforced bastion of 4 entire systems poised to defend the pathway to Terra, and a united conglomeration of Imperial troops joined by Canoness Superior Junith Aruda and her War of Faith. Worldclaimer's invasion takes place over 40 plus pages of background lore, interspaced with tactical diagrams, beautiful artwork, and in-depth records of the forces deployed in the Terra War. The fall of this vital bastion would have grave implications for the Gauntlet, and its defenses will call upon heroes as mighty as the living Saint Celestine. So again, very cool piece of artwork right here. We see a bunch of Night Lords attacking a palace, and then of course we see the outline of Celestine in the background. Combination of like explosions, lightning, destruction, and then of course like the glowing outline of the living saint herself. So very cool, very thematic. Definitely excited for the Nachmund Gauntlet book. And typically these Crusade books are what's going to be actually like progressing around or like detailing the story of the 41st millennium as it progresses, sort of developing the lore in real time. Adept Roll is a new Mathhammer app for Warhammer 40,000, allowing users to instantly and effortlessly upload unit characteristics from screenshots. You can then use the app to calculate statistical outcomes. With the capability to account for special rules and abilities of attackers and defenders, results can be viewed in graph or tabular form. Let Adept Roll do the math hammer while you focus on tactics and victory. With tons of features and customizable settings, Adept Roll is the best pocket companion to give you the edge over the competition. Check out the Adept Roll app using the link in the video description, and your first 7 days are free. Now back to the video. New campaign rules divide players into 3 factions vying for control of critical sites across Terra. From the Perfectus Bastion of the Akrondor spaceport by fighting into these locations and earning battle points. Each faction increases its control at the end of each campaign phase, and should it reign supreme, claims dominance over the region. So here it breaks down a little bit like the area that you're fighting over, how you're going to break down like your various factions based on who you're aligned with. So probably going to be like Imperium, Chaos, and then Other. And then based on the results of the different games and the battle points you score, it's going to affect like what's taking place and some of the further missions. With so many notable heroes joining the fight, epic hero units are in abundance, and new Mighty Champions abilities grant them even greater power. The campaign master simply assigns whatever one of the most thematically appropriate for that character. Harkon Worldclaimer, for instance, is a sure fit for the frontline champion ability, while the living Saint Celestine has inspirational champion written all over her. Okay, so very cool. Because there's so many epic heroes and this is such a massive battle, each of those epic heroes is going to have a special ability assigned to them, which is something that you don't often see. Obviously, it never happens in 40k competitive, but very rarely do you see it in the campaign or Crusade mode, so this is extra special. So Mighty Champions, Frontline Champions. So this is the Crusade ability. At the Declare Battle Formation step, select one battle trait. Until the end of the battle, this epic hero model and any unit they join are considered to have this battle trait. And then Inspirational Champions Crusade ability. While an epic hero model with this Crusade ability is leading a unit, you can ignore any and all battle scars his bodyguard unit has. In addition, if your Crusade army includes one or more epic hero models with this Crusade ability, at the end of the battle you can select one additional unit from the Crusade army to be marked for greatness. So very cool. Not only are you going to be like granting your actual model and then also their unit special abilities, but in the case of the Inspirational Champions, you're actually going to be negating some of the negative effects that you can also have, or like lasting sort of injuries that your units may have been stuck with from some of the previous games. So very cool, very thematic, definitely a big fan of this type of stuff. Battles are fought using a new set of tactical reserve rules that change how you muster your army before battle. Rather than deploying everything in the usual manner, armies are split up into reinforcement waves that enter the field at different times, with only your primary wave encompassing roughly half of your points total taking the field at the start of the game. Later, at the start of the second and third battle rounds, one reinforcement wave of your choice will join the fight, and you only need to decide which as they are about to come in. You can choose up to 3 of these waves before the game begins, expanding your tactical options and letting you pick whichever 2 are best suited to your ongoing flow of the battle. So very cool. Tactical reserves, obviously granting you a different ability. So you're going to break up your army into 3 parts. You're going to pick which part you actually start the game with, and then you'll have 2 different reinforcement waves, and depending on like the tactical position or how well the battle is going, in real time you'll be able to select which of those waves comes next. So again, very cool. Games Workshop has done mechanics like this in the past. We've seen it in games like Warcry, where it's randomized. We've seen it in some situations where it is like decided by the player in real time. Definitely a big fan of this type of mechanic because it really can change up your games and add some extra excitement and flavor. As an example, in a 2,000 point Strike Force game, these reinforcement waves are up to 500 points, so you still end up playing the same size game by the end. These tactical reserves rules expand the scope for strategy-minded players to adapt to the midst of the battle, and add an interesting twist that rewards foresight and careful planning. Keeping with the theme of the dynamic reinforcements that swing the favor of the battle with their arrival, rules for performing surgical deep strikes are also included, giving your daring troops the chance to perform high-risk dives close to the chosen prey. They'll have to be careful though, as the more enemies there are clustered around their drop zone, the more likely they are to suffer a deadly mishap, taking mortal wounds, battle shock tests, and even losing the ability to act that turn. So very cool. We don't know the exact rules for the surgical deep strikes, but very similar to like what we had in the past with Deep Strike, where you sort of had like randomized positional arrival. So you'd have to roll 2d6 and then a scatter die, and then your unit would actually show up roughly where you wanted them, but could have like a mishap happen. So in this case, the mishap is going to be like mortal wounds, battle shock test, or even not being able to act that turn. So again, very cool, an extra little dynamic added into the Crusade rules that wouldn't necessarily flush out in like a competitive game, but in a thematic sort of Crusade campaign, very, very cool, adds an extra dynamic and extremely thematic. Now a quick word from today's sponsor, Game Bunker. Game Bunker carries a full range of Games Workshop products, including miniatures, terrain, paint tools, and more. Game Bunker offers 15% off MSRP for most Games Workshop products with the discount code WHMS. Receive free shipping in the continental United States on orders over $145. Online orders ship out within 24 hours. Game Bunker is a veteran-owned business. Use affiliate link below, enter discount code WHMS to save 15% on most items at checkout. For fast, friendly service with a discount on your favorite tabletop wargaming purchases, visit GameBunker.net and let them know that Warhammer Man sent you. There's still tons to see inside this expansive campaign supplement, from exciting new missions to thematic battle traits and Crusade relics. And it's too much to show everything here. Make sure to pick up the Warhammer 40,000 Crusade Nachmund Gauntlet when it comes up for pre-order this Saturday and join the fight for the Sanctus Wall yourself. Alright, so very cool. Definitely looking forward to the Nachmund Gauntlet Crusade book. Got tons of cool thematic lore in it. Rules for actually playing through the Crusade itself. Obviously, we've seen some of the awesome artwork. And definitely looking forward to how this kind of plays out, how it progresses. Let me know if you have played some Crusade games in the past, what you think of like the various campaigns for Warhammer 40,000. In general, I find that they are very thematic, very fun, very well written. And as Games Workshop gets more and more towards like the competitive scene and like balance and like high level of play, I really like that they keep in touch with like their thematic aspects and sort of progressing the story for the majority of the players out there that are just looking to play some games with their friends, have some thematic things happen, and enjoy themselves. And don't forget to check out the link in the description and download the Adept Roll Math Hammer app with a 7-day free trial. And as always, special thanks to the Game Bunker for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on most Games Workshop products with code WHMS at checkout. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and this is definitely sounding very cool, and I'm out of here.